what people are getting from me as a therapist is you're getting an intuitive, you're getting somebody who's a channeler. And so I just knew I had to start calling myself an intuitive therapist because I can't shut it off in therapy. And sometimes I intuitively know things, or I'm channeling something and it's like, this is coming through loud and clear and I just have to share it with you. I can't bite my tongue. In school, they're always like, allow for silence, be comfortable with silence, don't be the first to talk. And I'm like, fuck that shit. Like, if I got something to say, it's because it's dropped in my head. And if I don't say it, I'm going to lose it. And so I share these things.
Are you done people pleasing? Done comparing yourself to every woman on your Instagram feed? Done dating men who give you the bare minimum effort and somehow convincing yourself that it's enough? Done playing small so you can fit into spaces that were never built for you in the first place? Good. You are in exactly the right place. Welcome to Your Unapologetic Life, the podcast for women who are ready to stop settling and start showing up fully, confidently, and completely unapologetically in every area of their lives. I'm your host, Morgan Barkis, confidence coach for women, author, speaker, and exotic dance instructor with a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. I have built my confidence the hard way, speaking up for myself when it's scary, feeling sexy in my body when everything around me said I shouldn't, traveling alone, moving across the country by myself multiple times, dating with standards, knowing what I want and asking for it without apology. I have been in the mess and I have come out the other side, and now I coach women on how to do the same. This podcast is for the woman who is done waiting for permission, done waiting until she is skinnier, more polished, less complicated, or finally chosen by someone who keeps her guessing. She is smart, she is capable, and she is exhausted from trying to hold it all together while quietly falling apart inside. This is not a podcast about toxic positivity or 5 steps to a better morning routine. This is real talk about confidence, dating, body image, self-worth, and what it actually takes to become a woman who does not settle ever again. I'm glad you're here. If you're like me, you're listening at 1.5 speed while doing other things. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
There's certain things that I trust, like, is this a full body yes for me? And if it's not, then it's a no.
Yep.
I don't even go back like with maybes, and I'm like, it's either a fuck yeah or it's a not right now.
I mean, I am the exact same way. So I totally get it. Like, your body will tell you what it's supposed to do.
Yep.
And I agree.
We're going to jump right in because we always be rolling over here. We're like Dak Shepard and Monica Padman at Armchair Expert. It's funny when they start their conversations and people are like, wait, are we recording? And they're like, we've been recording.
Yeah, so I love that. Those are my favorite podcasts when it feels like you're just jumping right into their conversation, like mid-conversation. I'm like, I just freaking love it. I love it.
Yeah. I like it too. I will say I did a little bit of research on you as I was like, okay, let me get a couple of things in my brain before we get on, even though you and I got to chat casually on Zoom already, and we got into all kinds of stuff that was super fun.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, I'm obsessed with your website.
Do you want the girl who did it?
Say more? What?
Do you want the girl who did it? Do you want me to send her your way? She's amazing.
Yeah, I like the colors match you. The vibe matches you. It's clean. It's clear. It's easy to navigate. I was like, okay, website. Like I was all about your website. So first, I'm over here cheering on your website because
thank you. I love it so much.
Well, good. I'm glad you do. You deserve it. Whoever did it for you, it's your personality.
She's amazing. She said I was her very first complicated website, like multiple pages, multiple links on multiple pages. I mean, she was like, I was going to say no, but something told me to expand myself and try something new. And since then, her business has she's rebranded. She's upped her prices. She's amazing.
Well, let's shout her out on the podcast in case the listeners sign me up.
Make sure I get her imprint, Mariah. Yeah.
We're always up. I use a Squarespace, and I bought a template from Big Cat Creatives, and they're awesome. I believe that's Big Cat Creative or Creatives, and it was been great, just a plug and play for me. And I love to play with that kind of stuff. I love Canva. I love Squarespace. It's fun.
Same.
And when I get to a certain level, it would be awesome to be like, and I'm going to hire someone to do a rebrand.
Yep.
So.
One of the best investments I made was having this gal do my website. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
right. Well, kudos to you. How did you figure out your colors and stuff? Because I feel like it really embodies who you are. And even seeing your background right now, I'm like, this is her brand. Like, how would you describe your brand, your presence, your aura, if you will?
Yeah. So, truth be told, I didn't choose those colors. I was doing coaching with Julia Martin back in 2024, and we had a session with a psychic medium as part of her 12-week program. And what came out of that was like, your brand, like, I'm speaking to the transformation that women experience as far as like owning their confidence and not holding back anymore. And I said it's almost like a mermaid coming out of the water, and like that full like transformative, like, I'm here bitches, like that
Yeah.
kind of energy. But what came through with the psychic medium was like, you were actually a mermaid energy in a past life.
Okay, Ariel.
Yeah. Yeah, hence the extensions. I'm like really like honing in on my my mermaid self now. But yeah, ever since then I was like, that needs to be my logo. Like, mermaid, like that's the transformation women experience, is like owning your true self and all the things. And so I was going with like teals, purples, you know, for my brand colors. But then I met Mariah with M Print Studio, and Mariah was like, can I tweak your brand a little bit? Like, can I have some fun with this? And I'm like, absolutely. But here's the deal. I want tropical vibes. I want like, it's next level vibes. So tropical, poolside, like think like I'm my best self when I'm by the pool, when I'm on the coast, and I want my brand to show that. And so yeah, she just ran with these like bright tropic colors, and it was just very on point for me. I don't know. Everything felt very aligned when she showed it to me. I was like, OMFG, like, this is better than anything I could have come up with myself. Yeah. I made a little cute little logo myself on Canva prior to working with her, and I was really proud of it. I was really proud of it because I'm not a graphic designer. And I showed it to her, and she was like, this is really cute, but can we just come up with something more professional and less green looking? And I was like, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, because that does speak to the transformation. I saw this visual on Canva when I was making my logo of this mermaid like jumping out of the water, and the water is like spraying on both sides, like coming out of her. And that literally spoke, like, that image has been in my head ever since, of like, that's how I want women to feel that work with me. Like, we're coming out of our shell, we're speaking our truth, we're owning our voice, we're showing up authentically, unapologetically. Like, that's what I want women to feel after they're done working with me. And so yeah, everything, once I like found that image and I really stuck with, that's my transformation I want to promise women, it was like things just aligned from there, you know? And it's like you said before we got on, like, it's either a hell yes or a fuck no. Like, my body tells me if it's a hell yes or if it's a fuck no, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. I think there is, I don't want to say motto, but like for me, it's funny working with my own coach now in terms of business. I feel like everyone needs a coach at some point in their life.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, years, it wasn't years ago, it wasn't that long ago, but like a year or two ago, there was some post and it was about relationships, and they're like, what's an automatic red flag for you? And at that time I was like, and I don't know if I totally stand to this right now. And at that time after a breakup, this is how I was feeling. And they said, what's an absolute red flag? And I was like, a man that has never been to therapy.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you can't tell me you've been on this planet. I'm 45. So if you are around my age and you have never once gone through anything in your life where you're like, I could really use a little extra help on this.
Yeah.
Not because I'm broken or there's something wrong with me. It's like you get a coach or a therapist when you're like, there's probably a faster, easier way to get through this.
Yeah.
And if you can never, ever say, I could use some help, that's a red flag to me. And I say that because I got hate in the comments. They're like, obviously you have mental health problems. And then this other woman was like, I am a therapist and not everybody needs a therapist. And I was like,
I disagree.
No. And so I deleted the comment because I was like, I don't even need this in my life. I don't care. This was a personal opinion. I didn't ask for anybody else's opinion.
Yeah.
And I said all that to say, I think we all have, like, there's a point in our life where we get to our motto. And for you, it was like the mermaid. For me, it's funny working with the business coach because she's like, I'll say stuff when clients say to me, this, that, or the other thing. And I reflect it back and I say, and fuck that shit. And to my business coach was like, wait, if we work with that, what if you have a whole series that's fuck that shit? And I'm like, so you got a mermaid. I'm like FTS over here, everything.
Yes.
FTS, I like fuck that shit. Because there's a lot of hangups for women and they're worried about what other people think or what he might say if she asks for this. They're in her relationship, whether she's dating or married, and she's afraid to ask for what she wants because what if? And I'm like, fuck that shit, because I had to get there. And it sounds like for you had like a mermaid moment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally. Oh my God, I love that for you. That is so on brand for you.
I know. That's the thing. When something comes to you, you're like, yep, that hits. That hits.
Real. Oh my God.
Okay, I want to go because you practiced as a therapist, like legit. I got a degree in therapy, practiced for a very short time, did not get licensed because it wasn't the path that felt right for me.
Yeah.
And so I went down the coaching path and starting my own business and all that. For you, I do have to say though, I got a little awestruck. When I saw that you were in Psychology Today, because back in the day when I did get my degree, I was like, wow, what would it be like to be in Psychology Today? Like you're on a list and people are looking at you from like a global standpoint. And talk to me about the shift from, because let's be real, I looked at your Psychology Today and you're like professional Stephanie, put together, just kind of like
a little stuffier.
Well, and blah, like you're a therapist and here's what you're an expert in, but there was no personality. There's no flavor.
Well, truth be told, I have not updated my Psych Today profile since I came out of the spiritual closet. I haven't touched it. But let's be
real. Would they even want? The point is, look at your website.
Yeah, like I agree.
So I want to hear more about again, I was like a little bit awestruck. Like she was in Psychology Today, which back then would have been amazing. Now I could care less. It's kind of like people with a bunch of letters behind their names. Some people care about that. And nowadays it's not. Some people don't even graduate high school. Hello, Lori Harder. And they're multi-millionaires who are impacting the world in a positive way every day. So tell me about that transition from Psychology Today, therapist, Stephanie, to, you know what? I'm going to get my mermaid on. I'm going to redo my website and this is who I am. And these are the kind of people I want to work with. What was that like?
The transformation was like coming home to myself. Going into January of 2026 was like, I am not just a talk therapist. I am not just a therapist that you can go to for CBT, DBT. You don't have to know what those things mean because it's really not important to this conversation. But
Google it.
Right. Yeah, that's not the point. But it's like what people are getting from me as a therapist is you're getting an intuitive, you're getting somebody who is a channeler. And so I just knew I had to start calling myself an intuitive therapist because I can't shut it off in therapy. And sometimes I intuitively know things or I'm channeling something and it's like, this is coming through loud and clear and I just have to share it with you. I can't bite my tongue. In school, they're always like, allow for silence, be comfortable with silence. Don't be the first to talk. And I'm like, fuck that shit. Like if I got something to say, it's because it's dropped in my head. And if I don't say it, I'm going to lose it, And so I share these things. And so I just felt like it was time to actually admit that I'm very much a spiritual therapist, not solely just a talk therapist. And then in March of this year, I got certified in hypnotherapy. And ever since then, it's like another identity shift. I'm solely, first and foremost, I'm a hypnotherapist. And then everything else is just like a side of that. Like I'm a hypnotherapist, but you can also access my coaching. But I'm a hypnotherapist. You can also come to me for talk therapy, but you should first and foremost want to come to me for hypnotherapy because that's where all the magic happens.
That's good to know. I was going to ask you about that. Two things. One, funny story. First day of college, I come in as a transfer student. So I'm coming in as a junior. So all these freshmen, they do the orientation and all that.
Yeah.
They have fun activities, whatever. We're in this auditorium setting and they have a hypnotherapist, not a therapist. What do you call those? Yes. Hypnotist. Cool. And my best friend, who's my best friend to this day, who I hadn't met prior to that, but I still remember her. She, of course, she's unlike me. She volunteers herself to go up on stage. That's awesome. And get hypnotized in front of all these hundreds of people that we don't know. Oh, yeah. And bless her, I'm outgoing, but not quite that much. And I didn't know what I was going to do up there. Like, what? Right. So there's like, 5-ish people or something. And she got hypnotized. And I was like, this works. Oh my God. But anyway, that was like my only experience with that. And so I'm not a woo woo person. So when I looked at your website, I know I was going on your Instagram and you're like, who I'm not for. If you're not woo
Yeah.
woo, then I'm not for you. And I'm like, well, say more, because I don't consider myself woo woo. And if someone's listening and they're like, yeah, I don't do woo woo, say more about that, because I don't know. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not a chakra gal and I'm not against it. It's just
Yep.
not what I do. So make
Yeah.
me a woo woo person. And the person listening who's like, I'm not woo woo, but what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, the reason I would say I'm extremely woo woo is because, well, I'm a channeler, so spirit,
Well, see, now
source.
say that. We don't know what that means either. So what's a
Okay, so
channeler?
I can channel with spirit or with souls.
Okay.
And I don't, sometimes it's just the information drops in my head. I don't always know who it's coming from, as far as like, I can't tell you if it's coming from like your dead grandma or you're sorry to be unsympathetic, but I'm just going to
Oh,
say
I
it.
love
Like, I don't always know who it's coming from, but I just know sometimes these messages come through and I just know who the message is for or who I need to pass it on to. I wouldn't
So
say
you mean when you're with someone, like,
Mhm.
or is it just like, wow, I got a message, I got to figure out who it's for? Or you're saying I get messages while I'm with someone?
It's usually when I'm with someone. Like before I hop on coaching calls now, I'll just like ground myself and I'll channel real quick and I'll just ask for like spirit, source, guardian angels, those of the highest vibration. Send me whatever messages I need for
Mm,
said individual.
okay.
And then I just sit and I just wait and see what comes to me. And as things are dropping into my head, I'm writing them down quickly and or putting it into my phone. And then I just tell them when I'm in session, like, hey, I channeled before coming on here. These were a few things that were coming through today. Let me know if that's accurate or not. And I don't advertise that I have this ability because it's not something I want to get paid to do, but I incorporate it into my coaching and into my therapy practice because
Hmm.
I mean, I think that it makes me unique. It makes me stand out from just like a regular talk therapist.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's what like really makes me woo woo. But outside of that, like if you're going to work with me, you're going to hear me talk a lot about synchronicities because like I don't believe in coincidences, but you see signs and synchronicities all the freaking time and you can't unsee them once you start seeing them. Like angel numbers, signs, like things happening in this divine orchestrated way that you have no rhyme or reason or way to explain it. Like those are synchronicities. Like there's no way to explain these things. It's divine intervention of some higher being. And so you'll hear me talk about that. I'm trained in Reiki, which is energy healing. So you'll hear me bring up like your chakras, or like when people start talking to me about like, oh, I've had this injury or I've had this happen. And I'll be like, okay, well, that's tied to this chakra. Like, maybe it's unbalanced. Have you thought about focusing more on that area? So it's just like a natural part of how I work. I can't shut it off. It's just like the lens that I see the world through, you know?
I love that, actually. And I wouldn't
Yeah.
want you to turn it off. Now,
Yeah.
I love stories.
Yeah.
So, two, three examples of when you're sitting with someone, whether it was prior to or during, what are some of the messages you're getting? Like, what does that mean? Who's saying what? Tell me everything.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a good recent example that I had. I mean, for me in particular, I get like my ears will ring almost, it's like right before I get a message sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
One of my ears will start ringing. And so then I just sit and I listen for what's coming into my head. I did a session with a gal earlier today who I had never met before. Didn't look her up on Instagram. I just knew her full name. She just happened to find me and she scheduled like completely random, scheduled from my website a one-off coaching call. And so I channeled her before hopping on the call, and it was just very much like you need to tell her that it's time that she starts owning her gifts. It's time that she starts speaking out, sharing her truth. Don't hold back anymore. She needs to stop caring what other people think. And so I shared that with her and she was like, oh my God, that's spot on. That's literally what I want to work with you on today. And I was like, okay, great. Like, yeah, we'll talk through this some. And like I would say that's a pretty basic example, but
It's pretty
even
cool
like
though if you hadn't met her before and then you're like, well, actually, that's exactly why I'm here today. And you're like,
yeah,
oh, well,
yeah.
good.
Yeah, I mean it's honestly like a lot of the times it's just really good validation that what I intuitively know
Mm-hmm.
is always right, because and that's why I call myself an intuitive therapist, because like when my intuition speaks to me, and I'm assuming that's coming from spirit, then if I channel them and I get that same message, it's like, well, I already intuitively knew that. So you know what I mean? It's just good validation, I feel.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
the hypnotherapy, say more about that because are they laying down? Are you putting them to sleep? Not like
Yeah.
surgery, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is it like and what comes up for people?
Yeah. So with hypnotherapy, when I start a hypnotherapy session, I always debunk any myths that people carry around it because I really want them to go into the hypnotic state with a completely open mind. So most clients that I've seen have all seen a stage show at some point in their life. So I always tell them like, and you talked about this earlier, so this is perfect. It's like, who do you think the type of people that go up on stage are? And it's always usually the same answer, like, oh, like the life of the party people, the entertainers, like the funny people, like, yeah. So I always tell people they're not being forced to go up there. They're making that choice. And so when you think of hypnotherapy, you tend to think of those stage shows, but it's actually not anything like a stage show because you're completely awake and aware and with it. You're just in a
Mm.
really relaxed state of mind that you're in
Oh,
complete control. People think when you say hypnotherapy, they think, oh, you're controlling my mind because that's what the stage shows look like and feel like. When in
mm-hmm.
fact, like those entertainers, first of all, they're volunteering to go up on stage because they like to make people laugh. They like to be the entertainers. So they probably would do those funny things anyways, whether there's somebody up there prompting them to do so or not. But
Yeah,
with hypnotherapy, I'm just simply there as their guide. I'm making suggestions for the subconscious mind when they're in that trance like state. But ultimately, you're in complete control. I always will do an example right before I put them into the trance state. I'll do a quick example, be like, I'm just going to show you what hypnotherapy looks and feels like. Just go with me on this. And I'll tell them, close your eyes. And they close their eyes. And I say, okay, put your hands on your lap. And they do that. I'm not forcing them to do this. Like they're just following my commands. And then
yeah,
I say, okay, put your feet together. They'll uncross their legs. They'll put their feet together. Like they're following my directions. And then I'll really quickly be like, okay, now go into the corner, stand on your head and bark like a chicken. And then they open their eyes and they're like, what the fuck? And I'm like, why didn't you do that? Why did you not do that? And they're always like, it's always the same thing, like, because that's weird, or because I can't stand on my head, or
I
because
don't
that's really
want to.
uncomfortable. Right. I don't want to do that. And I'm like, okay, so again, that just shows you're not going to do anything when you're hypnotized that you're not comfortable doing.
Sure.
Again, you're completely in control. I am just here as your guide. I'm making suggestions when you're in that state. But ultimately, if it goes against what feels morally right to you, you're not going to do it because our subconscious is highly moral. And
Mm-hmm.
so that almost always gets them bought in like, okay, I get it now. I understand what you're saying, you know?
Yeah,
So that's with those stage shows. Those people do those things because they probably do it anyways. Maybe not, maybe with more alcohol in them, but like they're typically that kind of a personality, usually. And if they're not, those are usually the ones that get the tap on the shoulder to like, why don't you go back and sit down? Because like clearly they're not comfortable stepping out of their shell. So they're probably not having as much fun up on stage. Those are usually the ones that you'll see like they'll just tap them like, go ahead and just join the crowd. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
You always almost see like one or two getting sent back. Like either they weren't deep enough or they're just not playing along, which makes the show less fun.
of course.
Yeah, those
You
stage hosts, they want people that are fun and outgoing and life of the party and entertainers. Like that's what they want. So
That's true.
yeah.
God, even you thinking back to that, I just had a memory that I didn't even think of. There were times where he would just like put everybody to sleep and they'd all be like,
Yeah, yeah.
but now that you're saying that, I'm like, were they doing it because they thought that they were supposed to and they thought, well, did I don't know. Like it was
No,
almost like trying to think of Inception, how that movie, like how
yeah.
crazy it is. Like, did they do it because they were being told to, or did they think that they were actually hypnotized or wanted to make sure it was real? Or I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. It just
Yeah.
goes, it really shows you one hypnotherapy session shows you just how powerful suggestion is.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, and we do multiple instances like the one I did before to show people like, see, the power of suggestion outweighs your conscious mind more often than not. So yeah, we do that, and then I briefly explain what hypnosis is, and then I interview them and ask them like, what are you hoping to get out of this session? What change work do you want to walk out with today? And what I
Mm-hmm.
get from them is as much vivid detail as I can to then take that narrative, and those are the words that I use when they're in the trance like state to paint a picture for their subconscious mind, because our subconscious mind loves imagery. It loves, like, it's very imaginative. It loves imagination. And so I need to be able to paint a really vivid picture when you are in that trance-like state to make the change. And then after the interview, I use progressive relaxation to relax the body and the mind. And once they're through that, I do a few, like, they're called convincers, to show me that you are in fact deep enough. And then once we get through those, then I use the words from the script to kind of like narrate a story back to them of what change they're hoping to see. And it's usually extremely powerful. I've done a number of like self-worth sessions in the last month since I've really been pushing it out. And it's crazy. Like, I'll tell people, like, send me voice memos, like, on Instagram in the DMs, or text me if you have my number. I want to hear what wins you're having. And I had one girlfriend who, my favorite sessions are like these high achieving women that come to me, like other entrepreneurs, because, you know, they're wanting to work through limiting beliefs and things like that. And so the sessions are just always really powerful. And one of them is a dear friend of mine, and she sent me a couple voice memos a few days later and was like, it's so crazy since working on the self-worth with you in that last session. Like, I'm speaking up in rooms where I would typically keep myself small, and it feels like I've been doing this all my life, even though I know I haven't. And it's wild because it's like so uncharacteristic of me, but like, I didn't even think twice this time. It's weird because like normally I would really get in my head about that. It's like, yeah, that's the power of our session, our one session that we did on self-worth. Like, that is so amazing. And I just love hearing those wins. So that's why I'm always like, send me voice memos when you see wins. Like, I want to know in the moment, you know?
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, it shows that it's the results. It's working.
Yeah, exactly. And it builds my confidence, honestly, as a practitioner. And we all could use that from time to time. So it's kind of nice.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know, you see some of those hypnotherapy sessions where someone's like digs into things they didn't know, or past lives.
Yeah, I've done that.
Does that actually happen? Has that ever happened in any of your sessions?
I haven't done it with clients yet. I've done my own past life hypnotherapy sessions, and it's been extremely powerful. I did one. I've had 2 injuries to my neck. I had my thyroid removed 2 years ago, and then 10 years ago I broke my neck. And so in this past life regression, what I found out was that in a past life I had died by suicide by hanging myself from the neck. And it was like a video in my mind. Like, it was like I was a fly on the wall watching myself die. Like, and it was because I was pregnant, but I got pregnant from rape. And I was deeply ashamed because like my whole community and my family were shaming me because of this pregnancy. And so I must, and that soul in that lifetime must have just thought like, there's no way to come back from this, you know? It was so wild. Yeah, it's so crazy.
Well, horrifying to see as well. I mean, that's
for sure.
Yeah. TV show, and you're like, well, this is bad. And if it's you, did you wake up and feel?
No, it doesn't feel scary when you're seeing these things. It's just like, it's your soul remembering. Like, our souls know this stuff prior to coming into this world. But then it's like we forget. And then when you have these sessions, or for me anyways, it didn't feel scary. It was just like, oh, wow. It was like my soul remembering this from a previous life. Like, okay, this makes sense. Yeah. And then we healed that wound in that hypnotherapy session. And yeah, it's powerful.
Say more about healing the wound. Because I'm thinking, as you're talking, I'm like, okay, interesting. There's obviously a tie to maybe throat chakra, neck injury stuff. You know that about your past. How does it move to now, and what difference did it make, or what did you integrate that was different, or what made sense to you that was different?
So I did a shamanic healing session around that time, and in that session around that specific past life, we replayed it. But this time I replayed it with me watching. Ultimately, it was like we went in reverse. Like, we watched the baby being born, even though technically the baby would have died. You know, we watched that life give birth. We watched like that situation, but with a positive outcome to then heal that wound and just bring healing to that whole story. It's not like we can't go back and change what happened in a previous lifetime, obviously, but even just like replaying it with a better outcome it just like healed it. And it was from that point forward that, because that was right before I started my podcast. And within 3 months of that, I started the podcast. I started speaking my truth. And so clearly that wound had been healed because I was comfortable speaking out all of a sudden. I was, comfortable sharing deep truths on the podcast that previously I wouldn't be sharing. And even like on social media, like how I show up now, the version of me from 2+ years ago would not be showing up this way comfortably. I mean, so it just goes to show that that wound has been healed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did it have, I mean, obviously, tragic accident about the breaking your neck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did that tie into the previous life at all, or did you make sense of it in that way? Was there any tie?
Well, what came through in the shamanic healing session was like, it's no coincidence that you've had multiple injuries to your neck, because what spirit is saying is that your throat chakra is ready. Like your throat chakra is screaming for you to like speak, share your truth. So like, unless you want another major injury to that area, like listen and do it. And so that's what was like pulled the trigger for the podcast. Like, okay, I'm gonna start speaking my truth. Like, this is the best way I know how, is to start a podcast. So yeah, I would say I did some public speaking initially after I first broke my neck, just because I the whole healing journey was just so miraculous that like it was proof that there's miracles happening every day, and if we just like keep our eyes open to them, like you'll see them. And so that's ultimately what I spoke out about after that accident, and just the fact that like I was given a second chance, because came so close to dying that I just felt like I need to talk about how I was given this second chance. And so I talked about that. I went around just in my local area to different groups and churches and whatnot and talked on that story. But then after time passed, like I kind of got away from it, and it kind of like went back to normal life, like you do. And then, yeah, after starting the podcast, it was like, no, I need to get back to public speaking again. Like I want to be on stages. I want to share that story, but others since then, like the fertility journey. And, there's just so many stories I feel I can share that can be beneficial to women, entrepreneurs, whatever,
Yeah. I'm curious about your curiosity getting into this field, because I think that like my mom used to always say, Morgan, everybody's got shit.
Yeah.
So it's like everybody goes through stuff. Then there's people that go through stuff and go, I want to figure this out, and then I want to help other people.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm wondering, my journey, I mean, was as soon as when I was little, my mom said, Morgan, you were always asking about sex. I got you books, and then you had more questions. And then, and then in relationship stuff, I was always like curious, reading relationship books. And I've never even been married. I've never been engaged. I'm like, and I don't think it's only marriage. Like relationships are family dynamics, parent-child dynamics, friendships, relationships that come in and out of our lives. I've always been interested in that. I've always observed other people. I'd be a little kid at the restaurant wondering why those old people weren't talking to each other. I was always curious about human behavior in that respect, relationally, which would led me to a degree in relational therapy, a system approach to therapy. So I think it was just a natural inclination, and then my own struggles that with disordered eating and relationship stuff. And it was like, this is my path. So what was your path to getting in this field?
Well, therapy path, first and foremost, was just like a child of divorce. My dad left a year after my parents' divorce, moved back to Arizona, where he was originally from. And we, at that time,
where are you originally from? He was from Arizona?
My dad's originally from Arizona. My mom is originally from Iowa. They met in the Army, got married, moved around because of the Army, had me, and then we lived on an Army base in St. Louis, and then moved up to Iowa, where my mom was from, to be closer to her family. And from the age of 5 on, I've just always lived in Iowa. So my parents divorced when I was 7, and a year later, Dad moved back to Arizona, and I didn't see him for 12 years. Didn't see him and heard from him really only like on holidays or birthdays, but not in between. And so that just like always scarred me, and I was going into unhealthy relationship after unhealthy relationship. And but I've always been a healer at heart. Like I remember when I thought from the age of second grade all the way through senior year, I was like, I'm going to become a fashion designer. That I loved fashion. I've always had like an entrepreneurial mindset. My best friend in elementary school and we started a fashion design company. We called it Zelda, and we would fill notebooks upon notebooks of our fashion designs, pages of just, that's just what we would do for fun. We just draw new designs of dresses and shirts and all the things.
That's
And that was like a
awesome.
multi-year, we kept that company like going just from drawings, but like that was like a multi-year thing. So I thought for sure, like, I'm going to go to Iowa State and major in fashion merchandising. And then my senior year, my mom had a tumor. It was a benign tumor, but had a tumor. And so she had to get that removed. And then I was her like at home nurse, so to speak. And everybody that came to visit was always like, you had really good bedside manner with your mom. Like, you should be a nurse. And then it was like, again, the power of suggestion. I was like, okay, screw fashion. I'm going to go to school to be a nurse. And I failed my nursing course my freshman year. So then I was like, I can't be a nurse because science is not my strong suit. And then
Yeah.
I switched to psychology and just like fell in love with the mind. And also, like, I'm a cycle breaker. And I learned that early on that like there's really unhealthy patterns in our family that will not continue past me. And that started right after college. I started digging into like intergenerational trauma and yeah, just very adamant that like, OMG, these patterns in our family are effed up and I'm not okay with them and I don't want to see them happen in my marriage or family. And so, yeah,
Hmm.
I really dove into that and just, I think through my own healing journey and just my own work on myself, it just made natural sense to become a therapist. I mean, truth be told, I didn't think I was actually going to start a private practice until like, I always thought I'd end my career, like retire with a private practice so I could maybe do like part time in my retirement years. But I got so burnt out working like my traditional job at the school that I just was like, no, I want control and freedom. And so I went all in on the private practice and the rest is history. But in regards to coaching, I would say I'm a helper first and foremost, but I love therapy and I know I'm meant to do therapy, but I also love coaching. I love the like future focused aspect of coaching. I love helping like really dig into other people's businesses and like where are you bottlenecking? Like where are you getting in your own way? What wounds are getting in your way? Like if you're carrying a self-worth wound, like honey, we got to cut that out because that's really going to hurt your business in the long run. So I love the like blending of the psychological, like, let's heal these wounds so you're not carrying them into your business. Let's heal these money wounds. Let's heal these childhood wounds, relationship wounds, whatever they are, so that you can truly show up in your business, therefore in life, as your
Hmm.
best self. And then you're just gonna fucking love your life. And how great is that? Like, we all should want that, you know? And so I
Yeah.
don't know. Everyone's like, "Oh, do you think you'll just quit therapy?" Like, no, I'm gonna continue doing both. Like, I love both of them. I don't know which one's better. You know?
Well, and honestly, I mean, for me anyway, I have a degree. I didn't choose to get licensed
Yeah.
because to me, they're separate things. I was trained as a therapist, and that is never going to be extracted from me. So
No.
I don't think even for you, I mean, you may or may not in the future continue to want to be licensed. That's up to
Right.
you.
Right.
For me, it's more how we were trained,
Yes.
that I don't think you ever stop being a therapist because I spent 3 years. Who are you as a therapist, Morgan? Who are you going to be when you show up in the room with people? What
Yeah.
questions are you going to ask? And I loved solution focused therapy,
Yep.
whereas my friend teases me because that was not her favorite. She's much
Mm.
better in other areas. And so for her, and she's an amazing therapist that helps a lot of people that have gone through really wicked trauma, and
Oh
she's
yeah.
amazing. She's an amazing couples therapist. I'm more the coach. I'm more like, let's get the solution. We can dig around a little bit where that past came from, but I'm here to like, let's get results.
Yep.
And what I like about what you do and what you're saying is I've been a part of, you and I met in a mastermind. Prior to that, I was in a different coaching group
Oh
atmosphere. And it was almost shocking to me how many women showed up and yes, they needed help. Like, how do I start a podcast? And do I need a sales page? And what should it say? So there were things they needed to know to set the foundation of their business. Many, many, many had childhood traumas or old wounds or like you said, self-worth beliefs. So I love what you're doing because it really marries the therapy that you do or like
Yeah.
your background, but also recognizing that you are a driven woman, you are a successful woman, and there still might be something that you haven't addressed that's holding you back still.
Yeah.
You're like this dog on a leash kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I love that you're doing that because I like I said, I was shocked how many women are holding on to things
Oh, yeah.
past. And I was like,
Agreed.
wow, this has a lot to do with some personal stuff,
Yeah.
not just how to put down a landing page with a free offer. Like
Oh, yeah.
there was some really a lot of work that the women needed.
I agree. When I first started my private practice, I had this vision that I kept getting the same vision over and over again that I was meant to be in like a wellness facility because I'm very much like a root cause healer.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to talk coping skills, band-aid fixes like that. Like we're going to get to the root. And so I knew I needed to be in like a holistic wellness facility. It just felt very aligned for me. And there was a gal locally here. I'm in Eastern Iowa. There's a gal locally who was actually opening a wellness facility. And so I had approached her about renting an office space out of her new building. So we moved forward on that. And we were just getting to know each other. I mean, like we didn't know each other before that. And so we were just getting to know each other as we're building up our businesses, her as the owner of this facility, me as a private practice owner. And she is a great practitioner. She's also a root cause healer. That's what she's passionate about. But she comes from the Western medicine world, and that's why she started her practice, was because she just felt like, I want to spend more time with patients. And she's a great practitioner in that way. But I kept seeing like a lot of impulsive decisions and maybe decisions that I just felt like weren't aligned for her. And I just kept watching from the side and not saying anything. But
Yeah.
then I ended up going my separate way, and I ended up finding a different location because over some time it just wasn't feeling aligned anymore. And before I left, I told her one night, we were both working late, and I told her, I was like, you really should consider either doing a hypnotherapy session or a Reiki session or a shamanic healing session or something, because I said she had had a previous miscarriage, and I just felt very strongly that there was some unhealed grief that was really getting in her way. And she took my advice, and she went and did I think she went and saw a psychic medium or did a shamanic healing session or something. And I was like, that is literally one of the best things you could have done for yourself, because we just don't always know. Like, we're on the inside living our life, and we don't always know how our patterns or behaviors are impacting our life or our business. And sometimes it just takes somebody from the outside pointing out to you, hey, I think things would go smoother if you would address X, Y, or Z. Or, hey, have you considered just doing like a one-off hypnotherapy session? You should work through your negative mindset or whatever it is, you know? And it's wild how when you do something like hypnotherapy or a shamanic healing session or Reiki, you really get to like the root of things. And then it's wild how you just start showing up differently in your business, or those patterns just like, it's almost like magic. They just like go away. And it's the power of root cause healing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you will hurt your business if you are not addressing these wounds, or if you're telling yourself the lie that like, oh, this isn't impacting me, this isn't going to hurt my business. Okay, well, talk to me in 10 years and tell me if you're still feeling that way, because I beg to differ. I think wounds can always rear their ugly head when you're least expecting it. It's like the pimple that pops up the night before prom. Like, you can only keep it under wraps for so long. Like, it's going to rear its ugly head. You know, like, you just can't, you got to get to the root.
Yeah, I like that. Well, and I like that you're owning it. You're like, this is how I practice and help,
Yeah.
and it's fun to feel confident in how you help, because there are so many humans on this planet, and there are so many helpers, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to be one of them as
Yeah.
well. Because like I said, everybody's got shit. Everybody goes through stuff, and
You
some
do.
people are like, "Whoo, survive that!"
Yeah.
They're the kind of people who are like, "Who survived that? How can I help the next girl?" Because
Yes.
I mean, getting through all the things. Like, even my business coach, she's like, "Morgan, have you always just been confident?" I was like, "Please, girl, let me walk you through the years that I've worked on this and the that and the this and that. Now I'm here, and this is why I can help." And so it is. And like I said, some people get through stuff and they're like, "Did it," and now that's, you know, that they're on a different path. And you and I
Yeah.
are people that were like, let me tell you about how to get through this if you want to, because I've been there, done that, and I know a way.
Exactly.
And it's fun because everybody identifies with different ways.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
my clients are like, we're quick, we're voice, we're tech, we're more, and you're like, let me take you back to your past lives. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. Like some
Yep.
people, they want that, they need that. And it's so cool that us, coaches out there have different ways to get cool results. It's pretty awesome.
I agree. And I wouldn't preach something that I myself haven't tried, And
Yeah.
so I've been doing hypnotherapy myself on and off for the past 6 years. So I know the success that has come from it, which is why I've been so passionate about wanting to practice it and get certified in it myself, is because, like, oh my God, this has been so beneficial. Like, my dad, when I became a parent in the last year, my dad came back into my life around the same time that we acquired a child. And it was, to me, it's like, oh, this is no coincidence that the time when I become a parent, one of my estranged parents or my estranged parent comes back into my life. Like, that's not a coincidence, but it really opened up a wound that I thought I had previously healed. I had, but this opened it wide open in a way that I was not anticipating. And it took 3 hypnotherapy sessions with my now hypnotherapist that I see. One, we worked on the anger, one, we worked on the resentment, and one, we worked on forgiveness. And it was a night and day difference. We have my dad over for supper approximately every other week. And it was a night and day difference from how I interact with him now and how I communicate with him now and how I handle. He's aging. He's now, it's safe to say he's an aging elderly man. He's late 70s, and he's significantly slowed down, and I have my doubts. I kind of think he might be battling low levels of Alzheimer's. And so it's crazy how, like, things that prior to those sessions I would get so angry about, and so like, I don't think it's fair that I should have to take care of this man that never took care of me. I don't think this is okay. To now, it's just like minor annoyance towards the guy when he potentially triggers me. Similar to the annoyance I have with my mom when she says things that I'm like, oh, mom, you know what I mean? Like, our aging parents, they can be something else sometimes. Like, normal annoyance. But, like, it's crazy how it went from, like, this deep-rooted anger and resentment within less than, like, 2 weeks to then, like, just an eye roll, like, dad. Like, that's crazy to me because I had so much anger, but prior to that. And it just goes to show the power of that subconscious rewiring that happens in a hypnotherapy session. It's wild to me. It's so wild.
Obviously, people are going to have to find you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where is your favorite place for folks to connect with you? Everybody's got their easiest, best way to go back and forth with somebody. So where do they go?
I'm fine if you email me, hello@stephaniedingbaum.com, or you can DM me too. Either is fine. I mean, truth be told, I'm a little overwhelmed in both areas right now. My DMs lately have stacked up because of all the visibility. I've been putting myself out there a lot more, which is a good problem to have. I'm not complaining at all. Same with the emails. They have stacked up. I have a VA who mans my emails, but they've still stacked up because there's a
Good
lot.
for you.
So either way is fine. I will get back to you. I do prioritize emails that come in from new clients. So that would be the best way. Probably DMs or email me. Otherwise, I'll probably miss it. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, girl, I'll put that in the show notes for people.
Awesome. That'd be great.
My favorite last question is, what is your motto in life? What guides you?
Ooh, what did I just tell somebody lately? My new, it's not a motto, but my new signature song for this current season that I'm in. Oh my gosh.
You have a song. That's cool.
Well, that song, Step Into Your Power by, it's like Manifestica or whatever, however you say it.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Somebody else used
You
that
hear
on
it
the
in reels all the time.
Yes, it is good. I was like, I like this song. Where is this song?
I know. And I play it in the morning after I listen to my affirmations, after I listen to my future self recording. I play that song because it is a vibe. And that's the era I'm in. Like, I'm stepping into my power. And even my husband knows that now. And we went to a party one night and he was like, so-and-so has just been a little angry lately. And I know you're in your era of speaking your truth. So can you just stay away from them? Because I know you're not going to back down. And I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's good that you know that. I speak my truth now. Like, yep, it's good that you know. I feel like I'm stepping into my power. It's crazy. The me from even a year ago, like, wouldn't recognize the me today. It's wild when we start, they say like entrepreneurship is like the biggest professional and personal development journey ever. It's so freaking true. So true.
So I would say then, is it safe to say if a woman is ready to step into her power, she should probably get in touch with you?
Yeah. If you're sick of hiding behind imposter syndrome, if you're sick of constantly battling self-doubt, negative mindset, like, yeah, let's step into your power together. Let me help you. If you want to be like that mermaid jumping out of the water, I'm your girl.
If something in today's episode hit you in your heart, I want you to raise your hand right now because I am talking directly to you. Maybe you are dating and you have never really stopped to ask yourself what you actually want, how you want to feel, and what you absolutely will not tolerate anymore. Maybe you're in a relationship or marriage and you are still people-pleasing, still saying yes when you mean no, still making yourself smaller so everyone around you stays comfortable. Maybe you were taught to be a good girl, not cause waves, not take up too much space, and you are exhausted from it. Imagine waking up and knowing exactly who you are, wearing what you want, saying what you mean, letting other people's opinions of you be their problem, not yours. That is a skill, and it is exactly what we build together. My coaching is not a formal weekly call you have to wait for. It's me in your pocket, available via text and voice note in real time as life actually happens. Like your most honest best friend, who also happens to have a master's degree and zero tolerance for you playing small. If you are ready for that, come find me. You can DM me on the Instagram, the link is in the show notes, or head to morganbarkus.com to get in touch. Until next time, stay unapologetic.